is brought to you by the Columbus Chamber. We are so thrilled to have each and every one of you viewing with us today as we kick off International Women's History Month. And by doing so, we've developed this series called The Future is Female, where we are celebrating women in the Columbus region who are making history. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Audrey Hollingsworth, who is the Vice President of People Services at Goodwill Industries for the Chattahoochee Valley. But she's also a board member of the Chamber and a past chair. And that's what's unique about this series is that we're highlighting our board members and celebrating our female board members for The Future is Female. So Audrey, without further ado.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Well, first of all, let me just say hello to Columbus and the Chattahoochee Valley. It really is a pleasure to have an opportunity to host such a distinguished panel of women as we talk about just really their business and then some things that are important to females who are business owners. So it's a very impressive panel, as I mentioned. So I'll tell you who's joining us, and then I'll ask them to take a few minutes to introduce themselves. But we have Lori Otten, who's with Focus Consulting Group, Janice Granville with Davis Broadcasting, and Rhonda Eisel with Master Clean Dry Cleaners. So ladies, the audience was really interested in getting to know a lot about you. So I want to ask if you will just take 30 seconds and just give us your elevator speech as a way to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. So Lori, will you go first for us?
I will. Thank you, Audrey. And hello, everyone. I'm Lori Otten with Focus Consulting Group. My company is a coaching and leadership development firm. And I'm passionate about courageous leadership, about growing courageous and braver leaders. And I do that by providing one-on-one coaching as well as very specific training, such as Brene Brown's Dare to Lead. And as the only certified Dare to Lead facilitator south of Atlanta, I spend a lot of time working with leaders and helping them show up more authentically, more courageously, because courage is contagious.
Yes, yes. Wonderful, Lori. And you're so right. Courage really is contagious. So I'm glad that we've got someone with your expertise leading the way for us in that area. So Rhonda, how about you give us your 30-second elevator speech? Tell us a little about you and your business.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Audrey. I'm happy to be here. My name is Rhonda Eisel. I am CEO of Master Clean Dry Cleaners. We are a third generation laundry and dry cleaning facility that my grandfather started over 60 years ago. I have been in this business since I was 15. So I graduated from Hardaway High School and stayed home to help run the family business, and then went to CSU and graduated from CSU. We have 4 stores here in the Chattahoochee Valley, 3 in Columbus, 1 in Phoenix City, Alabama. And we also provide a free pickup and delivery service to homes and offices in the Columbus, Phoenix City, Fort Benning, and Harris County areas. We're problem solvers. We want to help you to live your life and to not have to worry about, chores and tasks. So we want to take care of all of your laundry needs. We do dry cleaning and laundry. We have a wash, dry, fold service, alterations. We have a lot of different things. If you can wear it, pretty much we can clean it.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, we all can appreciate what you provide for us, particularly if it's going to help us to simplify our life. So thank you for your introduction. So Janice, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Well, good morning, Audrey. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this panel, especially this panel with these wonderful women. My name is Janice Granville. I am the Vice President of Davis Broadcasting. We are a multi-platform broadcasting company with our foundation in radio over 35 years now. Like Rhonda, I'm a second generation broadcaster now, and we have radio stations here in Columbus, and we do digital advertising. And our motto is really just, we want to move forward together. We want to make sure that we're moving our community forward, whether it's through our events or through our engaging content on our radio platforms, or through wonderful advertising campaigns that help move our businesses and our community forward. So I'm just glad to be a part of it today.
Well, thank you. And again, another multi-family generation business. So we're glad to have you all this morning. So thank you all for such a fabulous introduction. So I'd like to jump right in and just start a series of questions that I hope will feel more like a conversation than anything else. So of course, how can we start a discussion and not discuss COVID, right? At least in some way. We've now hit the 1 year mark since COVID started spreading across the United States, impacting us both personally, but also through the economy as well as in the business market. So this is really a two-part question. So talk about ways that COVID has affected your business, and what are some ways that you've had to innovate and be creative in order to sustain your business in this new environment? And Rhonda, let's start with you. Share with us how COVID has affected your business and some things that you're doing differently today.
Well, it has severely impacted our business, and it still is, because people are not completely back at work yet. You know, if people aren't getting up and getting dressed to go to work, or big events, you know, we're not having big weddings or mini weddings, concerts. I mean, if people aren't going out and doing things, they're not really thinking about their clothes and dry cleaning. So, you know, we're still affected severely by that, and we're just, you know, working through it. I mean, pivot, I think, is probably the word of the year. Everybody's kind of had to figure out how to pivot and make changes and learn how to navigate this whole way of living now. So we've had to, you know, we've done free pickup and delivery for over 30 years, and all of our stores have drive-through and curbside, which has been great. So it wasn't as big of a change for us in that aspect. But what we had to do was just try to figure out how to let people know that A, we're here, we're still here, we're essential workers. B, these are the services that we offer. We're not just a dry cleaner. We're not just, you know, doing clothes. We do clothes, but we also have a wash, dry, fold service, which, you know, is helpful to parents who are working from home and homeschooling and who are just busy. But so we've had to figure out how to get the word out about how the other services that we offer. And it's been a bit of a challenge. A lot of people were like, oh, y'all are probably doing great during this. I'm like, actually, no, we're not. So, you know, anything you can give us, we do a lot of household items, comforters, linens, things like that. You know, we're happy to clean it. So yeah, our biggest challenge has been trying to get the word out, communicate that effectively to our customers and to the community about what we do. So basically, you know, that we also did implement a new point of sale system that we had purchased at the beginning of last year. We're supposed to have it installed the weekend that everything fell apart, March 16th. So we had to push that back until Kent opened Georgia back up, and they came down and we're here for a week. And so that new point of sale system has helped us be able to communicate with our customers via texting. Customers are able to go into that system and you know, do their personal portal where they can keep their card online, so they're not having to swipe cards and take their cards out every time they come into the store to try to reduce the transmission of germs. So, you know, we've managed. It's been tough, but we're here and we're gonna keep doing what we need to do.
Wonderful. Well, convenience. Yeah. And I love that you also have a wash dry service, because oftentimes we think exclusively of dry cleaning needs, but to know that we can drop other items off and have you all take care of those, that's a real plus.
Yes.
Thank you. So Janice, tell us how COVID has impacted your business and some things that you've had to do differently as a result of that.
Sure, Audrey. Like Rhonda said, it's everything impacts each other. So when our community is going through a crisis, it affects every business. So as on our sales side, obviously there are businesses that want to grow, that want to market, but they're concerned as well, and they're still, you know, walking a little softly as far as where this economy is. So we've had to make sure that we dig in a little deeper, spend time talking to our clients a little bit more, really finding out what they really need and making sure they get what they need, and being flexible. We've changed some things as far as allowing people to work with us on, you know, advertisement payments, but also on making sure their business still stays out there. So we've had to do some things differently there. And on the radio side, broadcasters never sleep. You know, radio runs 24 hours a day. So the main thing we've had to do is make sure that our team was safe. So we've changed policies when people come in. We've reduced those face-to-face interviews that we love, and we've changed them all to phone interviews. We've made sure we've interacted more digitally as well, because we know people are on that platform, and they want to interact. They, with you even on the radio, believe it or not, they'll text you or send you a Facebook message when they want to tell you something on the radio. So we've just had to make those pivots and changes, and some of them have been really good. Have been just the time to really think about that plan you wanted to put in place before and move forward on them. So yes. It's been good.
Good, very, very good. And like you pointed out, most businesses have really had to think about how do you kind of maintain the services that you provide, but do it in a healthy way so that it doesn't negatively impact your workforce. And I'm sure your radio personalities, though, they're thinking, well, this is kind of natural for us. We're off screen anyway. So
yes.
Did they transition more easily, perhaps?
They did and didn't. So I will tell you, when the whole city shut down and the state shut down for a little while, we did the whole, our DJs, they sent in their breaks and they worked from home, and everyone tried to work from home. And what we realized is it wasn't a great fit for us. And our DJs, even though they're in that box by themselves, they really enjoy that environment. And so after a while, they came on back, and we've just managed to kind of keep everyone separate. That's what we learned, is that if we can kind of keep everyone in their own space and follow by some really strict guidelines. I know they think that I'm just the harshest. I'm like, hey, where's our mask? We can't eat together. It's so hard when you're a small business and you're used to talking to each other as a family and being together all the time, it takes real intentionality to keep you safe, every day. But we realized that we have to just change, but we couldn't totally get away from our offices and our business and our studios.
Yes, very, very good. That intentionality is so important. So Lori, talk to us a little bit about the impact of COVID and how you've been able to come up with creative ways to sustain your business.
Thanks, Audrey. And what Janice said about keeping people separate is just such a key lead into how it's affected my business, because everything I do is one-on-one. If you think about it, it's one-on-one coaching, in-person coaching, reading body language, doing in-person training. And all of that absolutely shut down in March of last year. And we didn't, nobody knew exactly when it was going to come back. And so we all, as coaches and trainers, like Rhonda said, we pivoted and we began to learn how to use Zoom. And we began to learn how to do one-on-one coaching with Zoom, to do more of it over the phone. And then the most challenging was learning how to do training over Zoom. And so if I were to ask, how many of you have done a training over Zoom in the last 12 months? It would be everybody.
Absolutely, that's true.
And as a trainer, I've had to learn how to do that. So I've learned new terms such as producer. Janice, this is a normal term for you, but you need a producer to be able to do that. And so it's caused us to be a little more creative and innovative in how we deliver what we do. And here's the other interesting thing about this leadership development, this courageous leadership development, is I think COVID has uncovered some of our systemic, maybe vulnerabilities around leadership. And it's really piqued people's interest because they've realized resiliency we need it. And maybe we've never been trained on resiliency. And so it's interesting, the demand I've seen for the training. It's just having to be creative in how it's delivered.
Yes. Well, you talk about how you have to look at creative ways in your delivery model. And at the same time, I often think about the comments that you've made regarding some key statements, resiliency and courage. And we've certainly needed that in 2020. So the timing is now really for the type of content that is your primary focus. So I'm sure that there's been a significant need and people have started to call on you more.
Interestingly, yes. And I didn't anticipate that. And so when it came, it was it was surprising, but yet I was feeling the same need. And so when people talk to me about it, it's like I could identify with how they were feeling, uncertainty. And so it makes sense when you drill down a little bit.
Yes, yes. Well, kudos to all three of you that you have been resilient and you've looked for creative ways to propel your organization and your business to the next level in order to sustain your operations. So congratulations. And I'm hoping that those who are watching this video and listening will gather something from that in times of challenge, the first thing we want to do is look for ways to get creative and use it as an opportunity to be innovative in order to perhaps deliver either the same or new services in different ways. So taking that into consideration, tell me, who would you say are some of the people or persons who've had the greatest impact or influence on you as a small business professional? And what would you say, has been that thing or that insight that person or person has brought to your attention? And so Janice, let's start with you.
Okay, that's a really good question. I think there's been so many people. I think of teachers, literally, it depends on how far you want to go back, but I think of, I had a teacher, Miss Walker, in the 5th grade. Mm-hmm. She was always demanding that you do your very best and you work with excellence, and she wouldn't accept anything less, even in the 5th grade. So you can imagine. But probably my biggest influence, honestly, and it probably sounds like a cliche to some people, but really is my father in small business. He's really shown the type of determination, the type of sacrifice that it takes in order to run a small business, the type of care and concern for people, realizing that your staff is what keeps you in business. So you really have to make sure that they are number one priority. So those are some of the things I've learned from him, and really just seeing him, he's about hard work. He was always saying, you have to put in the work. It's not going to come by itself. There's nothing for free. And you've got to put in the work, and you've got to bounce back. You're going to get a bunch of no's all the time, and you've got to be willing to shake them off and bounce back. So those are some of the things that I've learned from him. I would say he really has been my biggest influencer.
Yes. Thank you. And I love that you said you've got to bounce back. There are going to be a lot of no's. There are going to be a lot of rejection doors, but putting in the work and just not accepting no for an answer. So, right. Thank you for sharing that. So Rhonda, tell us who is that person, or who are those people who've had the biggest impact or influence in your business world?
Well, you probably saw me smile big when she said her father. Right. So yeah, we're 3rd generation. So my dad, I think, has probably had the biggest influence. I mean, he's been in this business for a long time, but has also owned and run other businesses, and has really helped me to to learn not to sweat the small stuff. We have to be able to pivot and make change. I kind of feel like a firefighter most of the time. So I work hard on wanting to be proactive in things, but feel a bit like a firefighter. And so sometimes it can be a drain. And it's really hard to try to stay focused and to do the right thing. But he's probably been my biggest influence. I will say teachers as well. You were a fabulous teacher at Hardaway High School. Collinsworth.
How did I know that would come in our conversation?
Before she was a fantastic Miss Women, she's also a fantastic teacher.
Thank you.
I also have a network of people in my industry that I'm able to reach out to. And that's been really important, especially during this time, because we've all just kind of had to figure out, hey, what are we going to do? So I think that, yeah, my dad, parents, and teachers, and then my network of folks that we can talk to when things are tough and when things are great. It's great to share. So.
Yes, and I'm glad that you pointed out that, being in a small business, it can have its own unique challenges. Mm-hmm. And yet, when you encircle yourself with a strong network of people and resources that you can turn to, then those are the folks that provide the insight to help you move to the next stage. So thank you for that. And thank you for that little commercial about our relationship. Yeah. So Lori, tell me who is that person, or who are those people for you?
Well, I'm gonna choose someone who is maybe a little more well known, and it's Truett Cathy with Chick-fil-A. And I look at what Mr. Cathy did back in the 50s when he first started, and the same kind of values he started with then are the same values that you see today. And the other part I love about it is that he was never afraid to use the word love in his leadership talk and speech. And I feel like, to me, that goes back to core values, how important core values are for small business owners. And I'm a proponent of being able to narrow them down to about 2 really important core values that guide your every move. And I feel like watching, and Truett Cathy and others like him who are very values based, and you see that live out is just been powerful. And never neglecting the systems part, that all businesses need systems and processes, but yet how important the people part is.
Yes. And you're right, that is so vital. It's vital in any business, but Janice referenced earlier that their business, and Rhonda mentioned the same thing, that their business is like a family. And so making sure that you're mindful of how strong your value system is, so that your people enjoy working in your organization is critical to your success. So thank you for sharing that. So ladies, the next thing I'd like to do is talk a little bit about leadership styles, which can be as unique and varied as the businesses that you all represent. So let's see, Rhonda, I'll start with you. And the question is, tell us, how would you describe your primary leadership style?
Well, I think probably coaching is probably my style of management and leadership. I work really hard on trying to keep my team pumped up and excited about work. And sometimes it can be hard. Everybody has got a different set of circumstances when they come to work. And so we really try hard to make sure that, everyone's compassionate for each other. I mean, we're not all going to come in a great mood each day, but we want to make sure that we're trying to build up each other and help each other in any way we can. So I would probably say coaching. I'm, certainly committed to each individual's the development in our organization and in their personal life, as well as a team as a whole, because we're not really able to work from home a whole lot. We have to be in the business and masked up, and it's very difficult to run like that, but we do. And we have a great team. I love my people. They are fantastic. I mean, they've all, like I said, everybody's got, comes to work, and we've got some single parents and grandparents raising children, and everybody's there every day giving it 100%. And I'm very proud of the people that we have. They do a great job, and they actually are the reason we're so successful, because they are so good to our clients and people coming and calling and coming through the cleaners and our route guys who are out. So I would say probably coaching is probably my style. I'm not perfect, obviously. I'm sure that to a fault, that I do work hard on trying to build our team and a teamwork environment, I guess I should say.
Good. Well, that's a great theme. Coaching and teamwork, they go hand in hand. So thank you for sharing that. So Lori, tell us, how would you describe your leadership style?
And I've seen Rhonda in action, and she really she walks the walk. So Rhonda, you do set a good example. And I would probably call my style collaborative, with some obviously coaching as well. And I wish I could say I've always had that style, but I didn't. 25, 30 years ago, I learned a much different style that wasn't nearly as healthy and functional. And it's taken a lot of research and training and learning and failures over the years to really learn that asking people, being curious, is far more effective than telling and directing. Excuse me. And I've learned that coaching and being curious, asking questions will get me a lot further than directing. So yes. Collaborative and coaching would be my style.
Yes. Well, and I appreciate your honesty in acknowledging that you learned over the years that you could be a lot more successful being collaborative than directive. I think that's an important piece of advice for a lot of our viewers and listeners. So thank you for pointing that out. Janice, how about you?
You know, it's kind of a mix. I think I would probably say that I'm more of a coaching leadership. I believe that's what I practice daily, but I'm trying to move towards the transformational. I really want our team to think goal setting and to think in the future. That's what I think one of the things COVID and over the last couple of years has been showing me is that sometimes, I think Rhonda has said it, sometimes you feel like you're putting out fires and dealing with the day-to-day management of the team. But in order for our group to move forward, I really want them to be more of a goal setting, reaching that goal, and want to be a leader that can help them reach those goals, whether they be professional or personal. We're such a small team. I feel like when people are effective in their personal lives, they're also more effective in their professional lives. So, but I know that my day-to-day style is probably more of a coaching, and probably very hands-on, probably too much when you think of, you know, when you really want to be a transformational leader, you can't stay too much in the day-to-day, every day. So that's just being honest. That's just kind of, I think, where I am.
Yes. And it can be difficult when you are in a small business because, you know, you really do it all. And so to try to transition from doing it all to making that quantum leap to sort of transformational leadership, you know, I commend you for thinking so progressively. And I think that that's good advice for all of us to take into consideration. So let's talk about, you know, owning your own business. If you could give an aspiring business owner or startup entrepreneur any piece of advice, what would that look like? What would that be? And let's start with you, Lori.
You know, I was thinking about this because there's so many directions you can go. But if I'm talking to someone who is just getting started, who has been in business for a little while, or someone who's been in business for 20 years, I would recommend this wonderful book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael. And he talks about, it's a book about importance of systems and processes. And so many businesses start out with just some ideas, and it's the owner doing everything. And by the time we start growing, we don't have our systems and processes solidly in place. And so we become technicians. And so he talks about the 3 hats that we wear as entrepreneurs: the technician, the manager, and then the entrepreneur. But we find ourselves stuck in that technician role of always doing. And we never have time to stop and manage. And we certainly don't have time to step back and dream and plan and all the things that we went into business for to begin with. And so I feel like it's super important that if you want to build a sustainable business, that you build it in a way that if you wanted to replicate it 1,000 times, then you could, without you having to be there every single day and every single minute in every location, because it's not possible. So that's just one of my favorite go-to, easy, short read or listen to. Just love that resource.
Good. Thank you for sharing that resource. It sounds like something that we could all read, perhaps at many different stages in our career too. So
absolutely.
So thank you for offering that up as a gift. So Janice, what would you say to someone who's entering into this world of entrepreneurship?
I would say one of the things that has helped me is learning. I guess it's similar to kind of maybe what the book is, Laura. I've never read that book yet, but learning all parts of your business. So when I first got into broadcasting, my father actually put me in the business office And he said, I need you to help me with the business office. And that's where everything meets, all the invoices, the payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable, the HR. So I got a chance to really see the traffic system. I got a chance to see how all the parts of the spokes, all the spokes of the wheel work in order for the wheel to work. And it really has helped me to have a good perspective of what needs to happen in order for that business to be successful. And I say all that, in addition to saying that, something that I've learned over the last 5 years is even while you're gaining knowledge and you have your business plan, don't be afraid to move, because we're not in a time period where I believe it takes, you know, an 8-year or 4-year degree or an 8-year degree in order for you to start your business. I say, get the information and the knowledge. It's available. What I've learned is that so much of it's out there. The reason why there aren't so many people in business is because everyone's not willing to do the work to get the knowledge. So get the knowledge, but start working. But learn the whole piece. Don't learn one piece, and then you're so passionate about that one piece that you forget to learn all the other parts of business, and then your dream doesn't succeed the way you want it to. So really understand how it works from the start to the end.
Yes, and I love that you said when you started out, you were, did you describe yourself as the traffic cop?
I was a business manager, but in a small business, you end up doing it's an everything. You know, you're doing your accounts payable and your accounts receivable and your HR and your payroll. And so you're seeing everything. There's nothing that comes to that office that you don't see. So, and so learn it. And I encourage younger people to accept an apprenticeship, which is maybe a little different from an internship because it may not be paid. It may not be as many hours as you want, but find something that you think you might love to do and do it for a couple of days. Ask someone if they'll allow you to walk with them for a couple of days so you can really determine if this is something that interests you. I think sometimes people find themselves in the wrong positions or the wrong careers because they really didn't know enough about it before they started.
That's a very, very good point, because there's nothing like getting a lot closer to the work to fully appreciate everything that is involved to give you some insight in terms of what you can expect. So, so great advice. Thank you for sharing that. Rhonda, tell us, what would you say?
So to what both Lori and Janice were saying, E-Myth, by the way, I've heard of that book and have sat in on many seminars in the dry cleaning industries for customer service and for just running your business. And that is a book that I should have already read. So I'm getting that book. Thank you, Lori. It is so important, though, to have systems in place. And it's really hard, you know, running a small business to have that because we're not a big, you know, corporate America, Fortune 500 company where we have all of these things in place. And then we get here and there's a book or a manual to be able to get you through the day. So that is really important. And we do have that and we're still working on that. And then Janice about learning all aspects of the business. I mean, I started out really when I was 12 doing the payroll, adding the time cards. And then at 15, I started bagging clothes because we had somebody that left and didn't come back, and I've been there ever since. So, you know, I wouldn't say I'm a master dry cleaner or spotter, but I have done a little bit of that and some pressing. And but yeah, those are very important. I think to be passionate about it, to love what you do, to keep learning, to have like I said earlier, have a great network of people you can lean on in your industry, and not just your industry, but friends and people who run businesses. I've learned so much from other people. And I was just thinking about, you know, what Lori was saying earlier too. I have a neighbor that did the servant leadership program at CSU. And they said that changed, that they were a totally different style manager before that. And that changed everything. And that they are able to run their business and manage people. And it's just so much nicer. But to all that, just I think to keep learning, read books, have a network of folks that you can lean on in good times and bad. Find something you enjoy outside of work. It's really difficult to have some downtime. I mean, like I'm up early every morning, 5:30. And I'm starting on my day, and it doesn't end at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm still checking emails and doing things in the evenings and on weekends. So it's important to find something fun to do, something to have some downtime. I like to ride bikes. I'm involved in a couple of charities here in Columbus. So I think that to kind of try to round it all out kind of helps to be able to stay, focused and to be excited about going to work each day.
Yes. Well, thank you. What I've heard each of you say, you talked about having a sense of passion. You talked about learning as much as you can about your business, getting some firsthand experience as an entrepreneur, tapping into resources that are available. And then you've also talked about how important it is that you build strong relationships and have a good network of resources to turn to. And I'm going to use this as a chance just to plug the Chamber for a moment, just simply to say that the Chamber does offer many opportunities for new businesses and existing businesses to get engaged and to build relationships and to also build a strong network. So I hope that our viewers and our listeners will look at the opportunities that are available through our Chamber as well. And I know that the three of you have Chamber memberships, so you can attest to the benefit and the value that the Chamber can provide to really all of our businesses, and especially some of our small and startup businesses. So, so one last question, ladies. What does the future look like for you and for your business? Tell us what's ahead. And I know that this is Women's History Month. So also sprinkle in some insights that may be specific to women who are business owners or women who are sitting at the helm of their business. So think about it from that perspective too, if you don't mind. And Janice, I'll ask if you will go first for us.
Sure. The future. So the future of our business, I think, looks a lot more integrated with digital. It looks, it has a lot more systems that help to run and a little bit on the manual, I think, in order for us to be as productive as we can. For women, something I wanted to say earlier, I have 2 kids. I have a husband and 2 children. And I think for women, something I've learned in COVID is that we have to make sure that we are continuing to be flexible and forgiving. So I've learned this also being here in this business over the years, from my children being small to now being 11 and 13, is that we have to give ourselves realistic goals when it comes to our time commitment, especially if you have children. So your seasons may be different. Your season and I can only say this looking back, I didn't know this at the time, but your season when they're younger, your goals need to reflect what's reasonable for that responsibility that you have. And then as they get older, your goals may reflect a little bit more, they may be a bit more aggressive based on the opportunities and time commitments that you, time availability that you have. So the future for me looks prayerfully more balanced, a lot more goal oriented, that's specific to the priorities in my life. And I think that's really important. There is no equal balance between the things in your life. There is either a priority, things are either a priority or they're not. So what you set as a priority needs to always take up the priority of time. And so that's what I'm hoping that for myself personally in leadership, it looks like, but also for our company, doing the same things in priority. Because you never know when a COVID-like situation hits, and I want to make sure that we are prepared to continue to not just to be and exist, but to grow during those difficult times. So a lot of work, still a lot of work to do in 2021.
Well, thank you for your honesty and pointing out that it really is about a priority, that there often, we oftentimes talk about a work-life balance, and sometimes the scales will tilt in either left or right. So, so just striving to make sure that we are clear about our priorities is important. So Lori, what would you say the future looks like?
The future kind of calls on me to practice what I preach and to step into some vulnerability in areas where I don't feel strong, such as technology and being able to embrace some of the ways that training and coaching will be delivered in the future. I mean, one of my strongest values is making a difference. It's just important to me that no matter what I do, it needs to make a difference for someone else. And in order for me to be able to do that, I need to be able to embrace the unknown. And I think that's probably true for a lot of us in our businesses, is we've been forced to confront things that felt I mean, just vulnerable. That's when you face uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And I felt like this whole year has been an exercise in vulnerability, and it's kind of a test. And I want to be that person that steps into that test and comes out the other side more courageous. Yes. And so whatever it is, I want to be open to stepping into it.
Yes. And being vulnerable can be so difficult sometimes, and yet it can be so liberating and so rewarding. So thank you for pointing that out. That's a very good, I guess, observation for us to look forward to in the future. So Rhonda, how about you?
Well, I think that, like Lori was saying, that this past year has been a huge test, and we've all had to figure out how to make things happen and navigate these uncertain times. But, you know, we never, I mean, it's hard to grow when you're real comfortable. So you kind of have to get uncomfortable to grow some. And even though it is uncomfortable, it's certainly helped us to kind of get to the next level. I think that we're going to work, I mean, for our industry, for my business, it's still bumpy, and it's going to be that way for a little while until things get completely opened back up. I think once that happens, you know, it's going to be great for everybody. I think that all, you know, businesses are going to see a surge in activity once things open back up. But so what we're working on is just trying to fill the funnel. We're working on our training. We're working on development. We're working on just trying out different, you know, services and things offered to people. But I'm also going to work on myself some. So I do know that I have a lot that I can work on, and I'm excited about being able to just kind of get to the next level.
Good. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, you know, that really wraps up all the questions that I had, but I want to just leave a moment to see, is there a question that I didn't ask that you all think would have an answer important for our viewers or our listeners to hear as it relates to something about you on a more personal level, or something about your business, or something about your industry, or any kind of parting words of advice that you want to offer up before we officially close out? So let's see. I'll start with you, Rhonda, just to see. There's something I did not ask, and you think this is important for me to share before we close out.
I appreciate that. You've done a great job, and I appreciate you. I guess I want to let people know that we're here. We for my business, I guess I should say, we do have a free pickup and delivery service, and we just want to help you have less stress. We are problem solvers. We want to you know, take a load off, I guess, load of laundry off. But no, so that's silly. But yeah, we're still here. You know, like I said, our industry has been hit pretty hard, but we're making it, and we just whatever you have, you can throw our way. We certainly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Lori?
Something Rhonda and Janice talked about, being innovative and being uncomfortable, like Rhonda said, reminds me of something so important. You know, fear stifles creativity, and fear stifles innovation. And how important it is to try to push that fear away and to step into the unknown so that we can be creative and innovative. So that just struck me, and I thought I want to tie that back together, because that fear is just so debilitating.
Very good. Thank you. Janice?
Well, I'm just going to take Lori's and take the word fear and keep moving it forward. From a business perspective, I just want you all to know that at Davis Broadcasting, we reach about 94,000 people a week in this survey area, a diverse listenership, all different ages, and we just want to encourage people and businesses not to be fearful of this particular economy, and to still be willing to tell your story. And we have avenues to help you tell your story to the right audience. We do radio, and we also do digital, and we've run some really successful digital campaigns, whether it's for hiring or it's for a particular product that you have that you want to make sure people know about. So I want to encourage people, don't be fearful to start your business. Don't be fearful to promote your business, to move out there. And we would love to be there to help you to do that. You know, people relate, people reach out on their different platforms. Digital is great. But people in Columbus, 86% of people in Columbus still listen to radio every week. And hopefully that's not surprising to anyone, but just to encourage people to not be fearful in their business, but also to encourage women. Something you said earlier, Audrey, and I just want to address it because I feel like a big weight of COVID has fallen a lot on women during this year for so many reasons. And so I just want to encourage women to not be fearful of what this particular stage in your life looks like. So if it's heavier, or if you've had to pull back in some areas and focus on others, that doesn't mean that, you know, that whatever you were trying to do or your goal is not going to be reached. So don't stop. I just don't want women have come so far in building their careers and moving towards entrepreneurship. I just hope that the responsibilities that we have as women don't prevent us from still moving forward, even if it's at a slower pace or in a slightly different direction.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, ladies, I can't think of three people that I would rather spend my time with this morning. I know each of you on a personal level, and I have tremendous admiration for all of you and the work that you do in your business, but also in our community. And so I want to thank again Rhonda Eisel with Master Clean Dry Cleaners, Lori Auten with Focus Consulting, Janice Granville with Davis Broadcasting. And I'd also like to thank our chamber for offering the Future in Female series throughout the month of March for Women's History Month. And I really want to encourage our viewers and our listeners to really check out the other sessions where you'll have an opportunity to hear from other amazing women who are doing some great things right here in our local area. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Audrey.
This was incredible. I just want to thank our sponsor again, Jesus Global Payments, for making this series possible. I've been over here diligently taking notes. This was incredible, ladies. And again, like Audrey said, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your partnership with the chamber, and most of all, what you do for our community. We are looking forward to an amazing 2021 and everyone being a part of it. So again, thank you for your time this morning. Audrey, thank you for hosting. We hope everybody has a productive week. And like Audrey said, stay tuned for more in this series, The Future is Female. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank y'all.